Hi, I'm Twizzla.
Hi, I'm Cinnamon. Hi, I'm Candy.
Hi, I'm Carmel.
Hi, I'm Sprinkles.
Hi, I'm Cherry.
We have the pleasure of interviewing the talented Heather Lang of Jagged Little Pill. Hi, Heather. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be here. I feel like I need a Candy nickname, though. I mean, I know I told you guys my nickname was Blee, but I'm just trying to think. I mean, Butterfinger was my favorite candy growing up. Maybe Kit Kat, because I did love Kit Kats, too. Is that what people usually do? Do they normally give, like, they want to be a candy, too? No. So it's the first time. Sorry, you had a guest that wants to be a candy nickname too. Okay, anyway, go ahead, please.
Everyone here has seen Jagged Little Pill. The show and the music are amazing. Thank you for this interview. We'll start with Candy.
How did you feel about Jagged Little Pill, and what was the audition process like?
So, okay, so auditioning is really hard, I think, and I am 38 years old and I still have trouble sometimes, getting in the zone and like putting myself out there. And at the time I was pregnant and I was in my first trimester and, I wasn't sure, it's like, should I go or not? I wasn't sure how I was gonna, is this pregnancy gonna go through? And I was feeling nauseous. So basically, I remember, oh, and on top of it, y'all, I was at a Moulin Rouge audition like a few days before, and I left my entire songbook, okay, like with the binder and all the songs in it. I left it whatever, I guess at the audition room, and I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it. Long story short, basically I had every reason not to show up. Do you know what I'm saying? I wasn't feeling well. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like too much right now. I don't have the songbook. What am I gonna do? I'm hustling around trying to find Xerox copies of like the other sheet music. Where is it? Blah de blah. So I just decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna show up. So I show up, and good thing I showed up, y'all, because it was, when you feel, I don't know if you've ever felt this before, where like you're vibing, you're like, oh, this is my vibe, like this is it, and it just felt right. Because normally I'm so nervous, and Ebony Williams was there, who's one of my idols, and I love her, and a few other of my dance idols. So I was like, okay, I'm in the right place. And once I started, Larby, the choreographer, started doing the moves, right away I was like, oh, okay, this feels so good and so right. And, even when I rolled up to the part of the audition where you have to do the songs, Matt Dobler, the music director, is so cool. I was like, look, I left my songbook at, Moulin Rouge a couple days ago. Here's the song I sing. And somehow Matt plunked out the song. He like knew the song. I couldn't even believe it. So the point of the moral of the story is that, like, just show up, even when you're scared and you just don't have it together and you're a mess. Because I was a mess that day. So.
All right, who's next?
What was the style of dance did you studied?
Okay, so growing up, I mostly did ballet. And it was hard because, ballet is so rigid, and I just loved dance, and I love moving my body. And I remember, from watching music videos, I would watch Soul Train. I would just watch, anything like musical theater, and I'd be like, like whatever it was, Sound of Music, Mary Poppins. I'm trying to think what had more dance, more Fosse stuff. And I would just be like, oh, I really like, that seems like more fun. And so in Chicago, it was weird. It was like at my dance school, you could only take the jazz class when you were like 13 or 14 and up. So my first experience then to other styles was when I was a teenager. So then it was like a whole world had opened up for me. I started taking jazz, tap, hip hop, Modern I wasn't exposed to till later when I went to college, and that was another whole opening of my spirit, like, oh my gosh, contemporary. So in a nutshell, I've studied everything pretty much at this point. But there's always more, I'm trying to learn the hustle, I'm trying to learn more social dance, you name it. I mean, there's so many styles that I'm even missing out on, right? On even saying. So, but yeah, so I kind of ended up doing it all. And I recommend that because then you can really find out what your vibe is and what you love.
All right. Who wants to go next, I guess?
What was learning the choreography for Uninvited like for you?
Ooh, it was so spooky and good. And again, it felt right. It felt like for once in my life, because a lot of times I would do these jobs and I would feel like, why, I don't know. I don't feel like this is like my thing, all the time. You have to sometimes do a gig that you don't always align with. And that when learning Uninvited, I was like, oh, full like spiritual alignment, like work, like full, just juicy and right, and just like in my bones, in my wheelhouse, if that makes any sense. And I just felt so honored and lucky. I remember just being like, dude, this is so good. And Larby would move and he was just so liquid flowetry, like I don't even know, some otherworldly thing. And I just had this, watching him just inspired me to even, dig further for myself. So learning it I felt at home. And there were, moments that were like, there was one physical part that was really difficult because at the time when I was learning it, I was pregnant. So I was like starting to have a belly and I was kind of like, ooh, it was a little, it was a little awkward. And also at that time, let's not forget, I have to tell this scoop of information, which is, I have a bum hip. I got a hip replacement. But at the time, my hip was in excruciating pain to the point of like, I mean, I couldn't even, so I would always have to like do all these things to like, compensate and avoid, hitting the pain. Cause it's like a dagger digging into your bone. That's how bad it was. And so, yeah, that was like a challenge for me inside of learning it. But even through all that, it was just like, oh, this is my pocket.
All right. So, were there any challenges for you and Elizabeth when learning the choreography?
Well, working with Elizabeth is definitely, I mean, working with everybody in the cast, I have to say overall, it was just like amazing vibes and just dope humans and people that I respect deeply. So everyone was serving, if you know what I'm saying, like just giving like their self, their full body, soul, mind's eye. And with Elizabeth, she's just like, what is she like? It's like she's like sparkly. I don't even know what to say. It's like all her cells are just like giving you all this information, and she shows up to the space with just like, I have chills. Ooh, can you see them? No. And so it's so easy to work with her. And Larby too, he's just chill. He's just like not a mean bone in his body. So it's just like this kind of amazing, synergy, you know, in the space. And I feel like there was never a challenging moment with her. I hate being that person that's like, there wasn't anything challenging, but it's just like, that's what I mean when sometimes just things are happening. It's not that we weren't nervous or like, oh, like, how are we going to pull this off? But it was always just like this trust, this implicit trust and vibe. And that's something I will never take for granted. I'm so freaking grateful for it. And I think the challenges mostly were, at the time I was like, like with my bum hip, how am I going to be able to do this 8 times a week? That was my biggest fear, an issue. And anything like and Elizabeth Stanley is doing like, at the end we're doing like partnering and, it's a whole thing. And and she just threw herself into it like she had been to dance school for 20 years like me. I'm just like, okay, so fearless.com, you know. So that was also why it was just so cool. It just flowed because here's a person who's just like, this is I'm gonna show up. I'm like, okay, well, so yeah, so that's that.
Cinnamon?
How is Jagged Little Pill bringing something new to the audience or to the world?
Ooh, good question. Well, I think, you know, it's one of those rarer musicals that's, you know, shedding light on serious topics. And, you know, the culture that we're in right now, the landscape is like, it's time